Another edition of Max Lange games. Again in the Hallestaal 1856, this time on a black side against one Schierstedt. And we feature e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and d4, the Scotch. Max Lange takes, and then we get the bishop c4, the Scotch gambit, instead of the recaptures. And here, bishop c5, to hold on to the pawn. And I think castles, knight f6, and now e5 would be the proper Max Lange, where Max would have to face his namesake variation slash opening. But in this game we got the c3, I guess this kind of is the Haxo gambit. White wants to take here, get a big center, kick the bishop with tempo here. And the problem with takes is that, well, this does not work, because black has the queen e7, but straight up takes and queen check, and then you go somewhere. White's doing better. Black's king's messed up, lost his castling rights. It's maybe not as hopeless, because white doesn't have the light squared bishop to keep on attacking. But definitely white's on the driving side of here. Pawns are even, but white gets the king easily to a safety, whereas black needs to be really careful. Well, why black did not take here. He developed the knight, and now I think the c takes here and bishop b4, and then there's a lot of games that have gone this way. Takes, and d5 is a usual strike in these lines. Very similar to a lot of Italian lines too, where it looks like white gets the big center, the d5 at the right moment, and we break it. At least break the pawn duo. White is left with isoline here. I mean, there's a crazy lines going on around here. Knight c7, knight a5 is also a move. Bishop e6 is also working out. Anyways, we didn't get any of that in this game. After knight f6, Max Lange's opponent played e5, in the theme of Max Lange attack. A little different though here. And again, the knight doesn't want to jump there immediately because it gets into a lot of trouble. And the knight g4s are a little flaky, but best for black is just to play d5 like always. d5 is a saving grace against the brave white openings. It's like a one solution to every problem. Just exaggerating a little bit. Nothing is, but well-timed d5 often saves the day. And now, well, there is a line where white can take here, and black takes here, and let's say castles and bishop e6. But black does quite well here. Computer thinks black's much better. Well, much and much, but somewhat better. They have the bishop there. Pawns are still evenish. There's a kind of a mess going on around there in the center, but I think black's going to get castled queenside. So we don't get that one. We go into a bishop b5 instead. Pin the knight. And the knight's attacked, so it has to move now. And then white takes with the knight. Probably more solid was takes with the pawn. Get the central pawns defending each other. Bishop here, bishop here. Also you blunt this completely. He took with the knight, and Lange just castled away out of the pin, not caring about that. White took with the bishop. Usually in this kind of situations looks like maybe I could exploit that, but well, first of all, after the knight takes, you open this diagonal. Lights out. So he took with a bishop to keep a knight stuck here guarding this diagonal, which would not have been problem if he took with the pawn. And then bishop e3, just to further guard everything, try to solidify everything. Well, Lange went bishop a6, highlighting this one, maybe for that reason, since this is not really a big threat at the moment yet. Castles was probably much better here instead of bishop e3. Well, much and much, but this is somewhat annoying. And then white did something crazy. This taking away the casting rights, but also it comes with extra twists. Knight c6, and Lange pulled off the fancy bishop takes e3. Oh no, my queen. And of course, if you take it, the bishop now suddenly guards a lot of squares. The knight guards this one. It's a checkmate. So white had to actually take this back, but he runs into a queen h4 check tactics. King has no moves. Knight and the bishop cover everybody. Has to play g3 to cover it. But then you have the old knight takes g3, highlighting this pin here. Well, white tried to run, and black just took the rook. Up an exchange. Took back the knight, and Lange gave a check. King c1. Okay, the next part of the game leads to a fancy finish, but I think just grabbing the pawns would be them sufficient and safer. Threatens here, but that's a exchange sack. Black still completely winning because white's king pawns are messed up. A lot of pressure around here. I can't really do anything about this, but after the knight d2, now rook takes b2 was definitely a miss from black. White doesn't really defend well, so it works out. After this, walks into a trouble. But here white had queen d5 instead, defending the mates. Rook's hanging, and there's the back rank. And now black has to, probably the only move, save the rook, guard the back rank. But white can't keep pulling the rook now. And for instance, taking, and suddenly this is a very active queen. Of course, the pawns, they're all isolated. E-pawn is doubled. It's a mess. But the active queen and would actually turn the tables into about equal, according to the computer. Maybe black still has the better side of equality because of the more safe king, but probably no more than that. So this was definitely a missed opportunity from white. He took here and then played king b3, and after bishop check, king b4. Here he still would have made black's task a lot harder because there's no mates. Black can probably give a lot of checks, but there's nothing better to probably than just grabbing one of the pawns and turns around quickly. Well, it doesn't turn around, but the task comes very difficult after something like this would happen. The black does have a lot of pawns for the exchange. Well, after bishop c4, white made it easy with king b4, Lange checked, and again he walked into a mate in 1. Nice finish, but king a4 would have required Lange to find a mate in 3. Can pause and find it. So I'm gonna show you. It's not really forcing. I mean, it is forcing mate in 3, but in a sense that we don't really get there with checks. Bishop b5 check, and bishop c6. Okay, bishop d7, bishop e8 also work, but somehow this feels more contained, keeping this pawn defended. And the problem is that now there is 2 mates in 1 threatened. Well, if king goes here, the mate comes from here. So anything like rook here won't save the day. Or queen defending here. Checkmate here. So it is technically forced mate in 3. just gives a lot of options for white. When Schierstedt made it easy and went king c5 and allowed mate in 1. But yeah, that just shows that even though your opponent gives an exchange sack and then sacks a full rook to a pawn, you would think that they have calculated it all over. But you don't actually have to take everything immediately and keep on looking for resources. This could have turned game around. Well, not around, but saved white's bacon. Alright, until next time.